Hi, everybody. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Happy
Same
St.
to you.
Patrick's Day.
Happy St.
Happy
Patrick's
St.
Day.
Patrick's Day. Hello.
Had a tough time finding a green tie. There weren't too many in my closet, but I found one.
Okay, everyone. Good afternoon. The Wednesday, March 17th meeting of the Norfolk County Commissioners I will now call to order. This meeting is being held as a result of executive order on remote participation. On Thursday, March 12th, 2020, Governor Baker issued an order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. Mass General Law, Chapter 38, Section 20. That order was effective immediately and until it is rescinded or the state of emergency is terminated, we're holding the meeting under that. I want to wish everyone a very happy St. Patrick's Day. This is a regularly scheduled meeting. I'm going to I called the meeting to order. I'm going to call a roll call. Commissioner Collins,
Present.
Commissioner Stady,
Present.
and Commissioner Chairman Shea is here. We have a quorum. We have a pretty straightforward agenda here today. I see we have a few guests. I see that the manager Dennehy from Milton is joining us, and I know that he was on last week too. So welcome, Mike, if you can hear us, and happy St. Patrick's Day.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner, and happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone.
Okay.
Thank you.
Number 3, minutes of the open meeting of March 10th for approval.
Yeah, I'll make the motion.
I'll second it, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made and seconded to approve the open meeting session minutes of March 10th. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Number 4, minutes of the executive session minutes of February 24th for approval, and they're not to be released at this time.
I'll make that motion.
Second as well, Mr. Chairman.
Minutes of the executive session meeting for February 24th, 2021 for approval. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. And number 5, minutes of the executive session meeting of February 25th, 2021 for approval and not to be released at this time.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye,
Aye.
unanimous. Number 6, public comment. Anyone have a public comment? I have heard, the office hasn't heard from anyone.
Mr. Chairman, this is Dale. I would just
Yes,
like
Dale.
to make sure everyone's aware that today may be St. Patrick's Day, but more importantly, at least in Boston, it is Evacuation Day,
That's
the day
correct.
the British departed Boston and left it to the colonials.
Thank you very much. I don't remember that, but I've been told about it. You would remember better than
Absolutely.
I.
Had to study it a number of times.
I know we studied it,
Wow.
and they
They
went to New
evacuated
York.
without a shot.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
through you, could you just
Commissioner.
inquire if Dale is going to stay through the meeting? Because there might be something we may want to talk to him about at the end, if he's available. Could
I'll
you-
stay.
okay.
Dale, are you staying?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr.
Nope. Number 7, facilities maintenance and capital improvement report and coronavirus update from John McGowan.
Good afternoon, Commissioners,
Good afternoon, John.
Hi, John.
and happy St. Patrick's Day.
You as
Same
well.
to you.
Say to you.
Working on the vault. I'm still working on the vault area there where we had the fire. I had the doors installed Saturday, and we had to have new hinges made, and these guys did a great job, and I think the doors fit good. They're the original doors at the fire department. They bent them up pretty good, but these guys, like I told you before, they're pretty handy, and they got them back in the original condition, and they installed them Saturday. I had the fire detail. Everything went well. The only thing left in the vault that now at present are the light people, the light companies in there putting the new fixtures up. They'll be done today. And the only thing that'll be left to do will be to, the registrar will have to get somebody in to give them a price on the heavy duty shelving that we took out of there. And, once that's installed, I think that'll be it. I don't see any other thing, that we'd have to do in there. It's just a matter of, painting the doors now, but it should be all wrapped up, I would think, once the shelving is put in. In Rentham Court, I was there with the Commissioner Stady, and we had a problem in the probation on the second floor with the part of the ceiling wasn't done pre-COVID-19. But I had the contractors down there Tuesday, and they finished it in one day. And I think everybody's satisfied down there. They put all new ductwork in and new diffusers in the room, and it looks great. They did a good job. Now, on the COVID,
Great to know. That's great. Good follow-up, John. Thank you.
you're welcome, Commissioner. In Dedham District, we had a COVID-19 situation yesterday. Michelle, I talked to her. She told me about it, and we went in there last night, did all the, the wipe downs, disinfect everything, sprayed the building down, and they closed the court yesterday at, I think, about 11, something like that, and it's closed all day today. And we've been, we're gonna go in there again tonight and do the same thing again. I told Judge Pomerol that we'd take care of it, so they'd be able to open up tomorrow morning. I don't see any problem with them not opening. And that's about it. That's about all I got going right now, other than the normal stuff that we do.
Commissioners,
Any questions? I'll be glad to answer them if I can.
Good job, John. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm all set, John. Nice job.
Thank you.
Now, John, on this incident at Dedham Court, was this someone at the court or an employee, or how did we?
Oh, I'm sorry. It was a probation, a girl that works in probation. I think it was a girl that works in probation. Like I mentioned many a time before, it seems like there's an awful lot of issues come up with the people in probation. We've had incidents in Quincy, probation, Rentham, probation, Stoughton, probation. I mean, if they're exposed to these individuals that they deal with every day, maybe that's what's going on with it, but the majority of the incidents are with probation people. I don't know why, but it just seems that way.
Okay, well, that's interesting.
I mean, the one we had at Stoughton, that was a prisoner. He come in.
Right, right. That was a
You know, this is, they're dealing, the probation people have a tough job.
It might be also the relative, I mean, probation seems to be ongoing and active, whereas some of the other areas are still slow starting. You know what I mean? Maybe it's just the volume. I mean, they're in there, but I don't know.
You know, I know that they still do the drug testing and they do the bracelets and stuff like that. I mean, they're exposed to a lot of outside people. I don't know if that's the reason for it or not, but just hopefully everybody's safe, and we try to keep everybody safe, but things like that happen, and we go in there and we do the best we can.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions of John? Okay, thank you, John.
Thank you.
Oh, John, did you get the paint chip? Did you look at the paint chip? Did you want to weigh in on that?
Yes, I did. I looked at it. It looks fairly similar to the way the dome looked, when I painted it with the gold paint. But my feeling is, I still have the feeling that they should make a mock-up a lot bigger than that, and put it out in the front of the building. I mean, the side of the building or whatever, just so you can see what it's going to look like on the outside. I mean, we're looking at it, and under these lights in here, and you know, I mean, it just, and I spoke to the guy, and he said he had no problem with doing one when we were on the meeting here one of these days, last week, a week after, week before. He said that he had no problem putting one up there. You know, like a 4x4, you know, something that you can realistically look at and see what it looks like and what it's going to look like up there.
Right.
And you'll have a better sense of, you know, but I thought it looked good. I thought it was fine.
Okay.
And it is a form of gold, correct? A gold paint.
Yes,
Okay.
it's like it's they apply that to the. I think they must put it in with. I don't know actually know how they do it, but it looked good to me, and hopefully, I'm sure it'll look good. I mean, they've done it. Haven't they done it other buildings in the area that you could go and look at? Maybe, I don't know. I haven't got into that with them, but I'm sure that they must have some place that they've done it. You know, some building. You know, even if it was in Worcester or Springfield or someplace, you could go and look at. Or Boston, I don't know. You see the same material, you know, the same gold paint that we're going to use. I'm sure they used it somewhere else.
Well, Mr. Chairman, is that an option that we may want to explore just to be sure? Ask the provider to provide us pictures or examples of where they've done similar work? I mean, is that what you're saying, John?
I don't
Yes,
think it would,
with,
I don't
with
think it was
that
hurt.
gold paint.
I agree. I don't think it would hurt. And we're going to open the bid today, aren't we?
I think we are.
Yeah, it's number 12 on the agenda. So why don't we talk about it then? But
Okay.
I just don't want to hold it up in any appreciable amount. I mean, we want to keep going. We got to do this in the good weather. So,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
you know, if we could afford gold leaf, we could do that, but I don't want to get into that discussion.
Oh, that's a lot of money there.
That's
I
a pot of gold.
I understand.
No.
All right. Number 8, we have no appointments today, Michelle, that I know of. And number 9, old business. Anyone have any old business? I have nothing on the agenda. I'm gonna take a minute to, we don't have any budget hearings today. We're working hard on the budget under old business. I'm just gonna mention that I'm looking at a draft copy of the budget. We'll have several more before we reach completion, but we're working very hard. Michelle's gonna give a little report later, but this is a draft document. It's a living, breathing thing, and we're like tending your garden. We're hoeing it, we're weeding it, we'll look at it, and we're trying to bring it in on time and in budget. So we'll be back. So far, we're keeping up with our calendar to have it ready for the dates that we previously published earlier in the season, and I'm hopeful that we're going to be able to stick to them. So we'll be having more on the budget later in the meeting from Michelle. Number 10, we have about 6 or 8 personnel items. 1, 2, 3. The first 3 are at Walson Recreation Facility, 2 resignations of part-time employees. And then we're hiring a part-time employee for the pro shop. So if I have a motion on the Walson Recreation Facility personnel matters first.
So move the notice of resignation of James D. McMahon of Boston as assistant golf pro, as stated, effective 3/17/2021.
Second.
You want to do them all together or for Walsh?
Let's do
I-
all
yeah.
Walson together. Yeah, we'll take a
Right,
vote.
Yeah, let's do all
Walson.
Wallaston together.
All right, so second, Mr. Chairman, notice of resignation of Cameron P. Walker of Cambridge, Mass. as pro shop employee, effective this date. And the third is notice of contingent employment for Thomas Roach of Quincy, Mass. as pro shop employee, JG Flack, $13.50 per hour, effective 3/17/21. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded on the 2 resignations and 1 appointment at the Walson Recreation Facility. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We'll do the same on the agricultural school. It was only one.
Peter, you want to do that one?
Sure. Notice of resignation of Aiden McDonough of Braintree as a substitute custodian, effective 3/12/21. I'll make the
Second.
motion that we approve it.
Second?
Motion made and seconded to accept the resignation of Aiden P. McDonough of Braintree, Mass. As a substitute custodian at the Norfolk Agricultural School as of 3/12/21. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. We now have 3 appointments at the Registry of Deeds. I'd like to do these individually.
Okay.
Starting, the
Sure.
first is the notice of retirement of Richard Kennedy,
Right.
apropos on St. Patrick's Day, but is the register still on?
Yes, Mr.
You
Chairman.
want to start this off? We're going to deal with these 3 today.
Sure. Well, first of all, on behalf of Rich Kennedy, someone could say, what could be said of him?
Right.
Everything good could be said of Rich Kennedy. You know, he was the backbone for recording documents here at the registry, tracking the revenues, being great counsel for budgets and everything to do with the Registry of Deeds. And he's been doing it. He started as a law school intern back in 1985. So certainly someone that has been committed to the county and committed to the Registry of Deeds. And he's been committed to just running the place great, a sound operation. You know, he's going to be greatly missed. And, you know, Rich Kennedy was a talented person, an attorney. He played a key role in the registry operations and also a key role in all the modernization initiatives, which have all kind of come together, you know, keeping the registry open during the COVID crisis here. So that's a great legacy to have. And if it wasn't for Rich Kennedy, these things wouldn't be accomplished and done. You know, last year, you know, Rich approached me that this time was coming. And, you know, I certainly, with all people that get to that point where they're at a point in life they want to retire, I'm happy for them. I wish he was staying. It'd be a lot easier for everybody. But, you know, life goes on and he's going to be missed tremendously. So I want to wish Rich Kennedy well, his wife, Debbie. I know his family's growing. That's part of his decision-making. He just had a grandson, Patrick. And I just really wish him nothing but happiness on the next phase of his journey. Personally, I'll always appreciate his talents and the key role he played in registry operations for such a long time. And I will always be appreciative of his efforts and his work ethic and just making this registry probably the best, I know the best registry in Massachusetts is because of Rich Kennedy. So it's with sadness, I send those papers over, with happiness for Rich that he, you know, is making this decision and wish him nothing but the best.
Thank you.
If I may add, Mr. Chairman, if I
Sure.
may, just a point of, you know, privilege. There aren't too many people, I would say, you know, on the county level that I've gotten to know to the level I know Rich Kennedy. Probably by virtue of being a zoning attorney, I spent some time at the registry more than other buildings. And Rich Kennedy was always the consummate professional, always a very, very well-mannered man. He represented the county in all the best light. His knowledge was always amazing to me in terms of issues, in terms of title exams and tracking things down. Certainly, I would be very privileged to call him a friend as well as, you know, an employee, and we're going to miss him. And you never really know, Billy, how much you value someone until they're gone. Let me tell you. And I'm looking at the county right now in my first couple of months in, and I'm very privileged and honored to be here with these fine gentlemen. But it's crazy what's going on. We're losing people that are the backbone of the county, and it's going to be tough to replace these people. People like Rich Kennedy. I know you have a fine person lined up, but there's no one like a Rich Kennedy. And Richie had an institutional knowledge, if you will, that you just can't replace, you know, in a day or a week or even a year. So I wish him well in his health. I wish him good health and good success in the years ahead. And may every blessing be given to him. And thank him for his years of service. Thank you, Richie.
Good, Rich. Commissioner, very, very nice words.
Okay, I'm going to take an individual, I'm going to take these individually. Do we have a motion
I'd be honored
on
to move,
Richard?
I'd be honored to move the notice of retirement for Mr. Kennedy as the first assistant register of deeds to be effective on March 26, 21.
Second.
Okay. a little discussion here. I was able to check with Michelle this morning. I came in early. Everything is in order. We're ready to go on these appointments. Of course, in order to move the next person up, we need to do this first. It's effective 3/26/21. I've been fortunate enough to know Rich for a number of years myself, and I think that he, has really been a go-to guy at the registry all these years, and it's anyone that works 35 years in one building like that deserves probably more than he's gonna get.
Yeah.
But I know it was a labor of love also, and apropos on St. Patrick's Day that we should wish Richard well, and we do wish him well, so I'm gonna take the vote. On the retirement, notice of retirement of Richard F. Kennedy, Rentham, Mass, as First Assistant Register of Deeds, a 35-year employee. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's the first one. Number two, notice of promotion of Marguerite L. Lee of Norwood, Mass, as First Assistant Register of Deeds, effective 3/29/2021. Register O'Donnell.
Don't get me in trouble. Yes, Marguerite Lee, nothing is constant in life has changed. We've heard that, and Rich will be missed, but, we have a good team here. Marguerite's been part of that team, coming to the registry from the private sector by training. It started in North Quincy as a high school graduate, but off to Boston College and also New England School of Law. So she was a practicing attorney, has private sector experience. She became second Register of Deeds when another valued employee, Linda Berman, left, and that was effective back in August of 2011. So, these longtime and valued employees, I'm sorry to see them leave when they retire, but I think we've been fortunate to have people step in, and Marguerite Lee will be up for the challenge and has familiarity, has been trained by Rich, and we will never replace Rich, but we'll try the best we can. And this appointment, along with the next one, is a step to try to do that.
Okay.
Commissioners,
Yeah, I have a question. So I miss Rich. I like Rich a lot, and I'm excited for Marguerite. And I don't know Ed Wheeler. I'm sure he's a good man, Billy, if you've screened him and you want to put him in. This is more of a question for Michelle. Michelle, do we have, I know that with the line items and things like that, you have to have the person has moved on before you can put the next person up. So are we covered in that regard? I just want to make sure that it's all going to be done seamlessly.
Well, that's a great question, Commissioner, and that's something I do when someone leaves a position and they want someone to come in to backfill. Usually we make sure that the payout days have exceeded prior to the new person coming in. Unfortunately for me, I don't have access to people's leave time at the registry because I don't use the budget sense system right now. Hopefully that will change in the near future. So I did reach out to Kristen just to confirm, and Kristen did say that as of March 10th, that the registry's permanent salaries had over $1 million. So with that in their permanent salaries, I do believe there is enough to do both of these at this time.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
any other questions or comments on the appointment of Marguerite Lee as First Assistant Register, career employee?
I'll move the promotion of Margaret Lee of Norwood to First Assistant Register of Deeds at the flat rate as stated, effective 3/29/21. Is that right? 3/29? Right.
Yes, Monday.
That's correct, yeah.
Right.
3/29. So,
And I'll second that. Is Marguerite on the phone?
Yes, she is.
all right.
Congratulations, Marguerite.
Oh,
Good luck.
big shoes to fill, Marguerite. No pressure.
None.
Commissioners, I just want to say thank you for your vote and for your support. I'm going to go behind Bill for a moment.
We haven't quite voted it yet.
We're trying to do a
almost there.
socially distant thing.
Oh,
I do want to say thank you for your support. I've enjoyed working with all of you and your entire staff, and I hope to continue to do that. I also want to say thank you to Bill O'Donnell, who in my career here has opened many doors for me and provided me with a great amount of opportunities and challenges over the years, and I hope to continue that. And I also want to say the only Mixed feelings I have is not working with my mentor and teacher, Rich Kennedy, and he's been a dear friend, and you know, that's the only misgiving, but I want to thank you all for this opportunity. Thank you.
Good luck, Marguerite.
Okay, Joe, you have a motion and a second.
I have a motion and a second, and I'm going to take a little liberty here, but I know that Marguerite lives in Norwood, but I want to get on the record that her formative years were spent in the city of Quincy, Mass, where she
Oh, here we go.
became the person that she is today.
Okay.
On motion made and seconded on the promotion of Marguerite L. Lee of Norwood, Mass. as first assistant register of deeds, effective March 29th. All in favor?
Aye.
3-0. Number 3, notice of appointment of Edward M. Wheeler of Worcester, Mass. as second assistant register of deeds, effective 3/29/2021. Register O'Donnell.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And again, thank you to all the commissioners for their good words in the previous votes. Ed Wheeler, by way of background, UMass Amherst, he graduated from UMass Amherst, Suffolk University Law School, has been admitted to practice law since 1980. So again, I think we've been very fortunate. We actually have 4 lawyers on the staff. There's no requirement that you be a lawyer, even to be registered of deeds, but I think it does give us an edge in the sense that we are dealing with legal documents every day. Ed too has private sector experience, but as an attorney, but also cut his teeth as an assistant city solicitor for the city of Malden Law Department. And when I first met Ed was back in 2003, and he's coming from the Middlesex South Registry of Deeds, but my good friend, the former mayor of Somerville, Gene Brune, was register. And, we have registers, meetings, and I first met Ed as Gene Brune, the registered Gene Brune's first assistant. I was always impressed with Ed. Anyone that knows Middlesex South Registry, he was very involved as the first register would be. Also very involved in the land registration division of the land court of the Middlesex Registry. So it's my hope, and I'm confident he'll hit the ground running, and just appreciate you giving him an opportunity here. As I say, he's coming from Middlesex South Registry, so we're bringing in somebody that has the experience of running the registry, and we want to keep that professionalism, or attempt to keep the professionalism that we've had with Rich Kennedy as the first assistant.
Well, he went to the right law school, Billy.
Oh, you did?
No, he went to the right law school. I'm kidding.
Oh,
That's good.
I hope Peter thinks he went to the right college too, but I don't know.
There you go.
Okay, I know that in these days of Zoom, it's impossible to all of us to meet, and we usually say hello to all these people, but hopefully we'll meet Ed if and when we get back all together here. Hopefully this summer, but whenever.
That'd be nice.
Love to say hello, have him come over.
Definitely.
Okay, motion do we have a motion on Edward M. Wheeler as second assistant register?
I'll move the appointment of Edward Wheeler of Worcester as second assistant register of deeds for a flat rate as stated, effective, again, this is 3/29. That's the correct date?
3/29 is correct.
3/29/21. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to grant the appointment of Edward M. Wheeler of Worcester, Mass. as second assistant register of deeds, effective March 29, 2021. All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous, 3-0. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
This
commissioners. I
concludes
appreciate your
personnel for
consideration.
today.
Thank
Well,
you.
Number 11,
Keep the green going, Billy. You got it looking good.
Once a year, Dick.
Way better than me.
expense and payroll warrants for
Oh,
3/17/21.
yeah. Yep. Peter, you want me to do it, or you want to do it?
Sure, go ahead, Dick.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'll move the county weekly payroll 21-37 in the amount of $136,032.99. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to grant the county payroll of weekly ending payroll dated 3/17/21 in the amount of $136,032.99. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous. Number 2.
All right, I'd move the Aggie expense for 21-09 of this date in the amount of $127,996.84. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and second to grant the agricultural school expense of $127,996.84 dated March 17th. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. One more, county expense.
Right. I'd move the county express warrant of March 3rd, 21 be approved in the amount of $70,848.46. So moved.
Second.
Motion made and second to grant the county expense dated 3/3/21 in the amount of $70,848.46. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That is unanimous. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Number 12, bid openings, repair and application of elastro metal coating for the Norfolk County Superior Courthouse Dome, sub bids. Nancy Rockwell, please.
Hi, Commissioner Shea. We have, these are the sub bids. We just have one sub bid. It's from Folin Waterproofing and Construction out of Southeastern Mass.
Uh-huh.
They have bid $75,900 even. This is the masonry is a small part of this whole project, which may be reason why we've only received one. There was several vendors present at the bid walkthrough last Friday afternoon that would be applying the elastro metal coating.
Okay, and this is part of the overall plan to
Part of the
restore the
overall,
whole.
this is the sub. The general bids for the coating will be opening on the 17th, the 7th of April.
Okay, I'm sorry then. We're not gonna talk about gold paint today. I'm sorry. These
Okay,
people,
and just for
these-
the record, they are going to do a mock-up once they're at that point.
okay, we'd like to see it. Okay, do we have a motion to take this under consideration? This is the sub bid for the elastro metal coating on the Superior Courthouse Dome.
I'd move that we table for consideration the bid opening as read. That's appropriate.
That'd be fine. One second.
Motion made and second to take this under advisement. Again, this is a bid for some sub work on the Norfolk County Superior Courthouse. Nancy, all things being equal, when can we pass this portion, or do we have to wait till after April 7th?
April 7th, how everything works is when there's a sub bid involved, the general contractors choose what sub bid they would like to use.
Okay,
In this
okay,
case,
so we're not gonna act, we can't act on it next week.
No.
Okay, so we'll hold it till we do the whole package.
Yes.
Okay,
And
That
I have a
concludes
quick
the
question
matter
for
of-
Nancy, Joe.
I'm sorry, go
Sorry.
ahead, Commissioner.
Yeah, I have a quick question for Nancy. So Nancy, one of the things that was brought up earlier was, would it be possible to have some examples of this coating having been applied to a dome before? I mean, I'm sure that they're out there, but maybe we could have some pictures or something.
Oh, sure, I can get some for you.
Okay, that'd be great.
Yep, I will contact the company and have that taken care of.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, while we have Nancy here, number 13, contract awards. Installation of makeup units, makeup air units at the Stoughton District Court. Nancy, please.
We received 6 bids on the 3rd of March. And Enterprise Equipment was the lowest qualified responsible bidder. Their references checked out excellent. I've spoken with John McGowan to this, and also Mark Tachi, the mechanical engineer, recommends them. And I would recommend all of us would to award a contract today to Enterprise Equipment in the amount of $132,660. And at the same time, to authorize the notice to proceed for the same amount of money.
Questions or comments, commissioners, on the hiring of Enterprise Equipment of Weymouth, Mass. to do the makeup air units at Stoughton Court? Long overdue.
Yeah, just really quick, Mr. Chairman, with your permission. Number one, can Nancy tell us where they're from? And number two, have they done any work in the county before? Have they ever done any work in the county?
The company's from Weymouth. They have done work on the county. They're very well recognized. They've done lots of work. In fact, the architect that we're working with for the dome project just said they are just fantastic.
Okay, good. Good to know. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Okay,
Okay,
so-
so we need a motion to award this contract.
I move it that the award for the makeup air unit replacement for the Stoughton District Court be awarded to Enterprise Equipment. I guess I'll say Inc. of Weymouth, Mass. In the amount of $132,660.
Second.
Motion made and second to grant the contract for the make-up air units at Stoughton District Court to Enterprise Products of Weymouth, Mass. In the amount of $113,000.
No, 132.
132, Joe. 132,000.
I am sorry, I wrote it down on 113. 132,
660.
660.
Got it. There
I
you go.
hope installation to start quickly. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Number 2, Nancy, lease of copier for a period of 3 years at the Wallaston Recreational
Yes,
Facility.
the pricing for this is, it's a 3-year lease and the price per month is $80, which includes all of the maintenance and 1,000 copies a month. Excess of that would be 0.008700 charge. The pricing is from state contract OFF 38. And this is every 3 years, most of the departments lease a new machine as they've seen their better use at that time period.
So
And
this is,
this would be replacing a like machine that the golf course already has, which has faxing, scanning capability as the previous one.
so this is off of a state list or another list?
State
that
contract
We
for.
buy it every year or every couple of years? This is where we go for our office equipment or for
Office
machines.
equipment, yes,
So it's your recommendation we go forward today.
yes.
Any questions, Commissioner? Comments?
I'll make the motion.
Okay.
Do we have a second?
Oh, okay. Yeah. I thought you were going to read something, Peter. I'm sorry. I'll second.
Motion made to second to lease a copy machine for a period of 3 years off of the state contract at the Wallaston Recreation Facility. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you. Thank
Thanks,
you,
Nancy.
Nancy.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you.
Let's skip number 14 for now and go to number 15. The February trial balances for approval. In your packet is a letter, a note from Joseph DeOria, Assistant County Treasurer, relative to the February trial balances. It says attached, please find the February trial balances. It says, as you will notice, the unappropriated balance this month has dropped to $1,815,683, down approximately $600,000 from January. The reason being that general fund expenditures outpaced general fund revenues during this month. This is normal, as during certain months of the year, our revenues are slow. What I will flag, if you look at the school balance on the detail to balance tab, is that once again, the school general fund is in the negative. After running in the negative for much of the first half of the year, the school had an influx of cash in December and January with tuition money, but now they have reverted to a deficit again. It's something we all need to keep an eye on going forward. Joe DiOrio, Norfolk County Accountant. Any questions about the February trial balances? I'm sure that we can discuss this with Tammy and Rick again within the budget process, because we're halfway home here on the budget, and I'm going to point out Joe's points here to Rick next Monday when I see him. But we'll all be, I'll just flag it for the budget session.
I'll make a motion to approve the February trial balance as presented.
I'll second.
Motion made and seconded to accept the February trial balance as read into the record. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. It's unanimous. Number 16, MSBA revised total project budget letter authorization. You
Through
have
you, Miss-
Bill,
hi.
calling Bill Buckley by way of explanation. Go ahead.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, a very happy high holiday to you all, and I would be remiss if I didn't wish Commissioner Stady an early happy St. Joseph's Day on Friday. I'll be over for Zeppelis on Friday. I'll find a reason to drop something off. I've never met a pastry I didn't like, as you know.
Not to be left out, all right.
Excellent work. My middle name's Joseph, so he's also my patron. Excellent. This is sort of perfunctory. The MSBA is a great organization founded by the legislature in the early 2000s, which takes one penny off of every dollar spent in the sales tax, and it puts into a very well-managed fund that gives funds to communities who go through their process for school building. And part of the reason it's so well managed is they have a number of controls throughout their process. It's very, very scripted. There are a number of sign-offs, and in a normal community like Milton or Canton or Walpole, as Walpole is going through the process now, there are different junctures where the chief executive board, mostly the board of selectmen, would have to do a sign off to the MSBA. In this case, because you are the chief executive of the county, even though you're also on the school board, you act as the board of selectmen just to certify, again, through their formula, which the numbers have already been checked and submitted to the MSBA for approval, that we have the ability to borrow this much. By way of deep background, if you recall, back when I worked in the legislature, the commissioners worked collectively with the Norfolk County Legislative Delegation to get a borrowing authorization passed in 2009 that allows you to borrow for this project. And the MSBA needs a certification from you through our attorney that of the number that is allowable to borrow. So basically, the MSBA is so successful because they don't give out money until they know the communities have set aside the ability to borrow for the other portion of the project that's not MSBA approved. So it's kind of a pass through, but the verbiage is there. And if we could just have a motion to have Scott Lopez send a letter certifying, I don't even think you need to read the passage, but just direct Scott Lopez to send a letter to the SBA certifying the county's ability to borrow. We believe that'll be sufficient to allow them to continue through the process.
Thank you, Bill. Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
if
go
I
ahead,
may,
Commissioner.
just an explanation. So is this to cover the project that was done at the Aggie School that was done recently, or is this moving forward for another project coming up? What is this related to?
Dr. Quinn is on the line, I see, but I believe it's for Kemp Hall, which is a project that they're going forward with. Is that correct, Superintendent?
Yes, that is correct.
Excellent.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
I don't have any questions. I'll make a motion to have Scott Lopez forward a letter on behalf of the county to the MSBA.
Second that motion.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you, Bill. We'll
Thanks, Bill.
take the appropriate action. Next item. Also, Bill, number 17, report on the American Rescue Plan Act of 2021.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to share my screen.
Yes.
Obviously, as most people have been following, the American Rescue Plan Act was inked late last week and signed by President Biden, which directs $1.9 billion with a B dollars in recovery money to the various states. I have in front of us the summary from the Senate Democrats on page 12, really title 9 of it, Committee on Finance, where it speaks about at the bottom here. Actually, I went up a little further. That's what I was doing here. State and local financial aid. So this bill includes a tremendous amount of money for communities, and there are basically 4. If you think about it as a freeway, there are 4 lanes with which that money can get to the state and local. The Commonwealth of Massachusetts has been allocated $4.5 billion for this endeavor. Our local cities within the county, Brookline, Weymouth, and Quincy have been allocated tens of millions of dollars. Quincy's is 46, I believe. Weymouth's is 17.7. I believe Brookline's is 16, but I don't have it off the top of my head. As well as all of the other constituent communities of the county. The county itself, within the bill, is allocated $137 million of relief, and so we've been working to really unpack with our partners in the other counties what that means for Norfolk County. And in your packets, there is the bill summary as well as the sort of the breakdown from the National Association of Counties. I've been able to hop on a few of their countywide director and administrator calls around this. But again, much of the information that we're getting is very general in scale. And from Norfolk County has really taken the lead in talking with our neighbors in Plymouth County, working with County Treasurer Tom O'Brien as well, to really unpack what does this mean for the county. And we are waiting for direction. They have not promulgated guidelines and the guardrails for what spending is permissible or not permissible. But in our conversations we've also reached out at your behest last week to the Secretary of Administration and Finance's office for Governor Baker. And we've learned that the governor is not asking, as he did in the past, for the county to turn over funds to the Commonwealth, mostly because of the structure. The CARES Act was really one pot of money that a number of different governmental entities could access, whereas this is really 4 distinct pathways for funding, and we're each within our own lane. So since our last meeting, we've reached out to our federal delegation. I was able to have a conversation with Jim Cantwell, who's a former state representative from Marshfield and Situate and is now Ed Markey's chief of staff. He returned my call this morning. It was very prompt and helpful. And the initial questions I think posed by the commissioners, which we've been trying to unpack, is there a mechanism for pass through to communities? Because the counties that have been abolished in Massachusetts, their county money is going directly to the cities and towns like Worcester and Essex County and Middlesex County. Their county share of these relief funds will go directly to the cities and towns. So I asked him, to the best of his understanding, if that could happen as well, and that is an option available to the commissioners. Again, this is also tentative, and we're looking for written guidelines, but that is an option on the table. He also said that should the commissioners, given the needs of the county, access that 137 million or even a small portion of it for county use, it's his understanding that, as they say, if you're in for a pinch, you're in for a pound. And even if the county took, say, 2 million to address some of our recovery needs, that we would be responsible for the administration, tracking, liability, etc., of the entire 137. But again, this is still quite preliminary. Along these same lines, we have heard you may or may not know that the Norfolk County community managers, I know we have one, Mike Dennehy from Milton on the line here. They meet monthly in a Zoom format, similar to the one we're on right now, to just discuss issues that are facing the county as a whole. And Mike and I have tried from time to time to hop on to those calls, and we're on their listserv, which is incredibly helpful from a managerial perspective. And we heard from them probably 3 or 4 hours through the listserv, after the bill became law. And we've heard from the town manager of Walpole, Medway, Norwood, Foxborough, and some others, just really urging that the commissioners consider doing a pass-through directly to the communities. And what we heard from them this morning was not only a reiteration of that urging, but also really an offer to work collectively, which I think is something that we do a good job of in Norfolk County, but there's a great deal of opportunity. We have great regional services, but I think this, the question of how to best utilize this federal funding is a really unique opportunity to work more closely with the chief executives of the county's constituent towns. So right now, I think I would characterize this whole process as a holding pattern. I think we know what the amount of money is that the county is slated to receive. We know that the first disbursements can go out in 60 days. So we have some time. Looking at the calendar, we're talking about an early May disbursement at the earliest for these funds. So we're very hopeful, and we continue to sort of dialogue with all of the different governmental actors that are involved here, that we're going to get some more guidelines about implementation and some guardrails over what is utilized, because in broad terms, this funding can be characterized as less constrained than the CARES Act. However, that's about all we're getting. We know the bill specifically forbids using this for unfunded pension liability, for example, or depositing it into a pension fund. But some of the other things in the bill, when they talk about economic development, bonus, premiums pay for essential workers,
she's getting quotes. So I recommend it.
Whoever's speaking, if they could mute themselves. Oh, thank you. So these, some of the areas are a little more nebulous. So again, we're just kind of hoping for that that guidance to come in, and we've now established really good lines of communication, not only throughout the other counties. I've been on the phone with Maria Gomes in Bristol, I think 3 times this week. So she's been a great resource, and we're in the same sort of holding pattern to see where to go. But we've also now made great contacts with Senator Markey's office, who's using us as a kind of a channel to disperse information to the other counties as well. So my advice at this juncture would really be to just for us to continue to take this information, be aware of the outreach we've already received from our cities and towns, and kind of wait to see what we hear back from the Treasury as far as disbursement goes. One of the calls I was on yesterday through NACO did say NACO has set up a portal until tomorrow. They're asking each county to really collect questions they may have. So I think to the commissioner's discussion point, this would be a great time for you, and I'll kind of feverishly write down the questions you have, because the National Association of Counties is also interfacing with the Treasury to try to put together an FAQ document for us in the near future, we hope. So I think that will also be a resource for the commissioners as we move forward through this process. So if as we kind of open this up to the discussion and thoughts and questions you may have, I'm just going to take a little piece of paper and we will forward those through NACO. So hopefully, there'll be a pretty, it sounded like a very comprehensive frequently asked questions document will be coming shortly. And hopefully we can kind of answer some of the more pressing questions we had about implementation, especially in a New England. I mean, because Boone County, Texas is very different than Barnstable County or Norfolk County. So that is my update at present, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Bill. Commissioners, questions?
It's, if I may, I did spend some time reviewing the document, even though we got it kind of late. I've been looking at it. I'm going to make a couple of comments, just and to right on point. Bill, good job. Number one, I know you're working very hard on this, so I know we all appreciate that. And number two, I would think collectively we all are sympathetic to the town and cities in our county. And I understand that they're putting together their town meeting budgets and they're looking at this money and they want to get it so they can plug it in accordingly. But I think we'd be derelict again if we didn't look at what we may be able to obtain for our own county. And by doing that, indirectly help those cities and towns. So to Bill's point, to make it brief, could I ask you to follow up with the chairman's permission? Of course, a couple of things. For example, in Title II talks about school aid. And of course, we have a school, the Aggie. And if you delve into it a little bit more deeply, it talks about summer enrichment programs, which I think the Aggie runs. I caught that at one of the meetings, that they have like summer camps or summer enrichment programs. Somewhere in one of the things you gave us, Billy, I caught it. My question would be, first question, could you follow up with the Aggie school, not now, but have them look at, would that be a possible source of funding to help out any kind of proposed possible summer enrichment program for the Aggie school? If there is a possibility and it could be helpful to them and helpful to the county, then maybe how much, and we could put that number down. That's one thing to do, if I may continue. Number one. Number two, we have a vet agent. Dale Kurtz was on earlier telling us about evacuation day. Well, actually, if you look at Title VIII deals with veteran services and all sorts of different options, helping them get health care, helping them do things. I'm sure you caught it. I'd like to ask Dale, since he's on the call, or through you, Billy, obviously with the chairman's permission, to have him investigate that part. And could he perhaps make himself available for any funds available through Title VIII? Again, if it's not to be, fine, but at least we're looking at it, we're examining it. And the last one would be Title IX, which is a very broad-based section of the bill, which includes local aid, of course. And if I read it carefully, it says to offset the loss of revenue. That's the key. Well, certainly, as we're looking at our budget, we might be looking at, maybe revenue loss. We may be hitting a wall. Perhaps there's a possibility that we can use some of this money to offset our own county losses. And again, make us more stable. So those are my 3 points, as quick as I could be. I think it's a tremendous thing for everybody. But again, I want to work with the towns, obviously, but we want to see if there's anything in there that we can use legitimately. And thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Through you, Mr. Chairman, just in quick response,
Go ahead.
that's a tremendous point, Commissioner. And I believe that the Title II monies may be distributed, and there's some other money in there through what's called Asher, or I believe that's the term. And Dr. Quinn may correct me, and I think that's a great point of departure, because there are pockets of money that went to the state and then were distributed on a kind of Chapter 90 level to all communities, and I think that's the case. So we're talking about the 137 million that's in Title IX, but there are other pockets that may be direct distributions that we should also reach out and look at it as well. So I'm happy to follow up on both the school.
Yeah, and if I just interrupt politely and respectfully, they also mentioned about the opening and closing costs related to the pandemic. That's a no-brainer.
Huge.
So again, if we have costs related to that, and we anticipate, who knows, we might still be dealing with this in the fall. We might need some money for the proper opening safely in the fall. I don't know. So just again, it's in there in that Title II. So, it's worth looking at. That's all.
Absolutely. We'll trace it.
Thank you.
Thank you. I too read this, and some of it hit home with me and some of it was clearly not applicable to us. But until we get the basic decision rendered or make the basic decision with some help, it's going to be very difficult to promulgate any rules, because as all of you know, and Commissioner Collins knows the most, because he was involved in the first go around in the discussion with the state, where we ascended to letting our money go to the state and they administered it. I'm not sure. And that's the big question. I mean, we've been asking anyone we can find. I was even fortunate enough on Friday to speak to some people that we had worked with before in the A&F. And they're acutely aware of our question, but they don't have the answer either, but they did promise that it will be asked, and it has been asked. And so, I mean, I'd like to start at the top first and decide what we're going to do, because no one's has experience with administering this money other than the state, and in our case, Plymouth County, who we are close to. I They did a good job. I believe they did a good job in the first batch. I was able to talk to the chairman of the commissioners yesterday, and he hired an outside law, they hired an outside law firm. They hired a CPA firm and an auditing firm, and so far, and they're well into it, they're pretty happy with the results, and those people are being reimbursed out of the fund, but they don't do anything without going through their law firm that they did hire, which happens to be a local at Boston and Quincy firm. So they were the only other person I knew who to reach out to. But now they're subject to the second blast of money, just like we are, and they don't have the answer, but they are a leg ahead in that they did go through it last year. Again, that is not what the state suggested, and Bristol and Norfolk stayed with the state plan. I'm not saying we shouldn't have, and it worked out, and they had the hardware, they had the, now how this differs from that, I still can't get my arms around, but there isn't a moment go by that we don't spend on this, not that we have, doesn't add to our other issues that we're dealing with in the first quarter of 2021, but Bill's right on them, and everything we hear, we're sending right out to you folks. I'm hesitant to talk to the individual cities and towns because we don't know what to tell them, other than that we're working in their behalf, and the right thing will be done here at some point, but it's a big decision. Commissioner Collins, having the most experience in this, the first go around, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I like what Dick said. I think we have to, and Bill said it too, we have to figure out exactly how this money can be used and how we can use it if it's appropriate. And so we need to find out how we could use it at the Aggie or how we could use it in some of the other departments. At the same time, we want to take care of our cities and towns, but Dick made a strong point, and his strong point is Norfolk County serves our cities and towns. So
Right.
we want to be able to give them a good, solid product. If some of this money could, legitimately and properly go to the Aggie, we'll have to make that decision and decide if we want to, keep the money or just do a pass through. But I know, Bill, you're still trying to figure out if we can do a pass through, and it looks like we can, but that has to be looked at further too. So
Absolutely.
I had talked to Bill earlier, and he was in the process of talking to the other counties, and they were going to be talking to NACO to get a better idea as to how the money can be used. And I thought that was a terrific idea. So thank you for putting that together, Bill. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, we have a really good opportunity and sort of a listserv amongst ourselves, sharing information. And anytime one of us kind of speaks to the feds or the administration, we kind of share amongst ourselves. Treasurer,
Mr. Chairman, what's the date that we have to make a decision, or what's our timetable here? When's the money got to be given out, Billy? Is it May something?
the first disbursement is going to be in 60 days, but the eligibility period goes into 2024.
I thought so.
So it's not like tomorrow. And I think
Okay.
I know that in my conversations with the other counties, everyone is trying to move as deliberately and with a tremendous amount of due diligence first. So I think the message is not we got to get this done. We got to figure it out right now. I think the message is you got to get all the information and then work together and kind of you really the commissioners are then able to make a really fully informed decision. And that's the message to the towns is the same. We're doing this is due diligence time right now.
And if I can jump in, Joe.
Certainly.
Yeah, so this portion of the CARES Act is different.
Yeah.
So the first time that it came around, we applied for assistance. We didn't know what we were going to get. We didn't know how it could be used. And Bristol, Plymouth, and Norfolk were the only three counties of the remaining active counties in the state that were eligible to receive any of the CARES Act money based upon our population. And so we applied. We didn't know how the money was going to be used. It didn't tell you in the form. And so when it came back, from the federal government, we learned that we could get hundreds of millions of dollars. And it was a wealth of riches that were entirely unexpected. And almost immediately, the state reached out to us and said, hey, look, any money you get comes directly out of money that would come to us. And we would ask you to step aside. And we thought about it long and hard. There was a lot of discussion here in Norfolk County and in Bristol and in Plymouth too, as to what way to go. And eventually, Bristol and Norfolk agreed to let the money pass to the state, and Plymouth kept it. They dispersed a good amount of it. Then they gave any balance back to the state. This is different money, because if we don't use it, it doesn't go back to the state. I believe it just passes through to our cities and towns. But as a regional entity serving all 28 cities and towns in Norfolk County, I agree with Dick, what you had said. We have to figure out what we have, how we could use it, and then make a decision as to whether if that's the way that we want to go.
That's where I'm coming from. Thank you, Peter. Yeah, that's it. So,
I mean, this is certainly, I don't want to use, maybe exciting is not the best word, but it's certainly,
yeah.
certainly going to be all that people are going to talk about in the next few months.
Yeah.
I mean, I had ideas and I couldn't read it in this first batch, this title by title summary. We're working hard on a capital program through the Abrams Group of isolating our capital needs and then trying to deal with them in another way. I mean, the first thing I see, in addition to the school, is this might be a way of handling our capital needs. And that frees up other money to do other things. I mean, I don't think we're going to go out and hire 100 employees, because after this money is good, we won't be able to pay them. After 3 or 4 years, it'd be exhausted, and you wouldn't be able to pay them. But under our existing structure, I could think of a lot of ways that I think it could be done. However, the thought of administering and everything is so new that, it isn't like we're going to run down the street and go to every city and town and give out batches of money without some huge reporting requirements, et cetera, et cetera. And again, that's what I touched on with Plymouth. I might give kudos to Plymouth because they have some, Treasurer O'Brien does know his stuff. He spent a year on it. Some of his side comments were pretty funny and pretty fantastic, but there's a lot of work here. And there's a lot of things going on. I might add that I've kept Treasurer Bellotti in the loop here.
Right.
Bill and I have met with him twice. We met with him last Friday, and I met briefly with him this morning. So
Right.
anything that I
Good.
can share, which is everything, we've been sharing with Treasurer Bellotti.
I think
And I think it's fair to say that any money that we get, it will be used for our cities and towns, even if it's used for the county in part. I mean, we're not going to use all that money.
No,
And I'm sure a fair amount is going to flow back to those cities and towns anyway.
absolutely. But if we're doing all the work, I would hope we could use some of it for our needs. And I think that,
If we choose to go that route, yes, that makes sense.
Yeah, the only problem is like, sometimes it's terrible. First impression is last impression. Somebody somewhere somehow put out a graph or a grid that said, here's the amount of money and here's what each town's going to get. And it kind of did a disservice because they basically just took the property assessment and said, well, Canton gets this, Walpole gets this, Dedham gets that. And you probably have town managers and different elected officials saying, oh, where's our money? Where's our money? The problem is that the law is so complicated. The bill is so complicated. It's not that simple. So I think all of us want to stress, we're not going to take anything that's not ours. We want to make sure you get the money you're entitled to, certainly. But I think as a governmental entity, we have a responsibility to look at what we basically are owed as well. And indirectly, as we're saying, Peter and I are both saying, we're going to serve you. This is going to be serving all the population in all the counties. So, hey, if we have to hire a firm like Plymouth did or something, I mean, that's, I guess, the cost of when you get a gift of $137 million or something like that. But the recording requirements are brutal. They're really going to be tough.
That's the number one thing that Plymouth told me, even with the people they've hired, and they're happy with them.
Yeah.
Their outside people are good, they said, and they're being paid
Yeah.
out of the fund. He said the huge reporting requirements.
And I don't think, Mr. Chairman, it's fair, even we're basically shorthanded right now for us to even expect to have our present staff, no disrespect, to take that burden on. I think we should be looking at certainly employing somebody or a consultant or something like that we can talk about. But I'm glad we got this talked about. I mean, it's great. We'll have to see what happens. There's no rush, but we're seemingly on the same page. So
I mean, with your permission, we're gonna have to carry this on every agenda until
Yeah.
we get
Yeah.
our answers. I
yeah,
mean, we can't push this put it on the back burner and say,
no.
because, we gotta get over that. We'll continue our other work, and we have plenty to do. Any other questions about?
If I may, Mr. Chairman, if
Sure.
Dale or even the schools or anyone could do a little small follow-up, Billy can work with them. Maybe Billy, you can talk to them. You know where I'm going. Just to
Yeah,
see if there's,
absolutely. Great, Mr.
appetite
Chairman.
for it.
Bill, can you send
you
this
know.
package to Tammy today?
Yeah, so I've already been texting with Dale.
Okay, great.
Dale and I are gonna speak this afternoon, and
Something
I would be very happy to be in charge of giving out the big checks. But to the commissioner's point, I think it's important to note that this money is over and above money going to the $2.4 million to Walpole. They're getting that regardless of what we do. So like the communities themselves are getting money. So we're talking about money over and above that. So Wellesley is going to get 2.8 million.
Oh,
If the entire county implodes, that's their baseline. We're talking about from their state, their federal allocation. We're talking about what portion of our allocation would go to them. So if we were in, I don't know, pick a Worcester County town like Clinton, for example, where Worcester County doesn't exist. Worcester County, Clinton is getting their town allocation, and then they're getting their percentage per capita of their county allocation as well. So that's why there are large parts of the state that are getting one pot of money from two of these lanes. And the final thing, just as we were talking about working with Treasurer Bellotti, it is my understanding that the actual application process comes through the CARES Act. I think I've shared this with you before, kind of horrifying, perhaps showing the difference in administrations. It was a Google form that Mike and I, we got the whole morning cleared. We were like, okay, we're applying for CARES Act. This is going to be a big job. And it took us 2 minutes. It was like, what's your bank? Are you guys a county, a city, or a town? A state, a city, or a county? That was literally the questionnaire. And I mean, I've filled out Zoom, Google Docs on where people want to go on vacation with my friends that have been more labor intensive than applying for CARES Act. It's my understanding that this will be a much more rigorous process, but I think it will be carried out by the treasurer's office. Will be the one. I mean, at your behest, will be the ones going forward to interface with the U.S. Department of the Treasury. So that's just another thing to think about. That's what we think now, but we're even trying to get confirmation on that. So stay tuned.
okay.
Okay, that's a good comment. Stay tuned, and we'll deal with it, and we'll make sure that we do it right, but we do need a little guidance. Next is a report of the county director. Michelle,
Yes.
what say you today?
Thank you, Chairman. Through you, I just have a few updates. The intern, we're currently working with the Abrahams Group, and they're working on capital projects. And the report should be finalized, and we should be able to present it to you before April 6th.
Good.
Indirects have been sent to the departments for the budget. And regarding the budget, I just want to update everyone. As we all know, this is the draft version of the budget, but there is a variance. As last week, we had a variance of 83,000. We worked on it all week. We went line by line. We made some deductions. Some of those deductions were in contractual services. We reduced it by 10,000. Engineering, supply, and materials, we reduced it by 10,000. Legal services, we reduced it by 10,000. Liability deductible, we reduced it by 10,000. Miscellaneous contractual services, we reduced it by 20,000. Miscellaneous building and grounds, we reduced that by 10,000. And Group 300 for gasoline, we reduced that by 5,000. And currently the variance is now down to 58,000, which we'll still be looking at, we'll still be working on. The salaries have not been confirmed yet. I usually go line by every single employee and salary. That has not been double checked yet. But all permanent salaries did receive a COLA of 2.25% from last year. So I just want to make sure everyone knows that. And I also wanted to talk about the engineering department. I know, Chairman, you put that on hold. Did you want to discuss that now or at a
Well,
later time?
I only put it on hold because I wanted to get to the American Rescue, whatever, I keep forgetting what we're called. Yeah, American Rescue Plan. It's no longer CARES Act. I think we can lightly touch on it because you've done some research and I know you and Bill met with some folks in the engineering department. Why don't you just bring us up to date? We definitely have to address it, and I believe we're going to address it in-house, but yes, with your permission, commissioners, we're going to, with Michelle and all of us and Bill, we're going to go back to number 14, which is a little update on the engineering department, but go ahead, Michelle, whatever you.
Well, we currently have a vacancy in the engineering department. The land surveyor position is vacant. And after talking with the engineering department, I'll have Bill talk about this because he is the point for the engineering department. But after speaking with them, they have a lot of projects currently that are requiring land surveying versus a civil engineer. We had some discussions back and forth about this. And there is a need right now for a land surveyor. So I wanted to talk to you about posting that position and internally and externally, and getting some applications, currently resumes for land surveyors at this time, if I have the approval from the commissioners. And Bill, I don't know if you wanted to add to that.
Yeah, through you, Mr. Chairman, just kind of by way of background and information, I know we did include in your packet a document produced by Mike Jarden that kind of goes down a punch list of the most pressing things in the department. And what we have been able, I reached out to Bellingham. They had a street acceptance they were looking for town meeting. It's a very small, I think 4 houses on the street. And I spoke with the DPW director, and that is not time sensitive. So we've dealt with that. We've reached out to Cohasset, had a request that is not time sensitive, and they're going to circle back with us when the department is whole again. There is obviously significant land surveying needs in conjunction with Hilltop Farm and the solar project, and those plans have not been stamped yet. And that's, I would say, probably the most immediate thing before us. But just to kind of take a step back, and I know Commissioner Collins would know this as he's the Dean of the Commissioners, but in 2007, there were 14 employees within that department, and there were 4 stamps. There was 1 PE and 3 land surveyors. And when we think about the county's not only regional impact, but also its liabilities and the day-to-day things that we are required to do as a county organization, a lot of it circles around the 600 miles of roadway within the county that the county owns. So a lot of flagging, monuments, and land surveying is really the bread and butter of what they do. So Michelle and I have instituted a weekly call with the folks over at the engineering department, and we have been kind of keeping stock on how things move. But really the most immediate need in my view, and I think Michelle agrees with me, from the discussions we've had and looking at the body of work that's required, is that PLS stamp. And when we look at some of the work that's partially done, when a person stamps, I'm not an engineer and this is not my field, but I've been getting up to speed with this. You're really stamping to, and Commissioner Sadie probably with his development experience is very well versed in this as well. The person who's stamping the document is explaining that he has he or she has control of the document, is what has read the document and is attesting to that work. So whichever way we go, there's a number of projects in which people are going to have to, whoever fills that need, that person's going to have to jump in feet first and then attest to those plans. I think with the Hilltop matter, which is probably going to be a long matter, I think that is something we need to think about having perhaps staff do once that staff is available, because those plans will probably be points of contention or looked at for many years to come with the county's organization. So it just, as we think about the department, it was centrally a land surveying department, and that, from what we're seeing, that's the need that is has come to the forefront as far as the immediacy of some of the day-to-day work. And the work is great. I mean, we've heard from Dr. Childs a couple weeks ago speaking about the work in Brookline, which was, they were surveying Washington Street, which is tremendous work. And we get those type of requests from all over the county. And we've heard that there are some things like traffic studies, which we now sub out. We do a small number of them that we could perhaps expand, and there is an appetite from the towns if we had an engineer to do that. But really the dealing with the land court, the dealing with county layouts, the central responsibilities that even if we didn't have an engineering department, that we would still be on the hook for, those are sort of in the area of land surveying. So I think we have a handle on the need, and from Michelle and I's perspective, I think we're just seeking commissioners' kind of input on how to proceed as far as posting the position or positions, and what the next step should be. But there is a bit of a sense of urgency on this.
Commissioners, I have a quick comment and then I'll turn it over to you. Michelle, are we talking about, when you said posting, you're talking about the assistant county surveyor position,
That's correct.
which is funded starting 7/1/21.
In the FY22 budget, but we currently have a vacant position. The land surveyor has been vacant, position has been vacated prior to the budget being put together.
So there's money to pay that person, the assistant. So that, my recommendation would be to post that, because that would help, and more people would help anyway. And then deal with the top position, because we're in no position, today we couldn't advertise that position, correct? Because we haven't finished the payout, or the budget couldn't take it.
That's correct.
So it's my suggestion, and if we need a vote, I'll ask the commissioners to go forward on the second position, because it's gonna take, even at best, in your best day, to get someone in here. Are we talking 5 or 6 weeks?
Absolutely. If not
And
longer.
then I think we have to take a hard look at the priority list and look for some outside help. And if we have to get some quotes and go outside and bite the bullet to catch up, we'll do that too. I mean, and our goal is to end up with a county, I like to call it the engineer, but right now it's called county surveyor, and an assistant. And that would give us 2 bodies that we don't have today.
Correct.
Up until 2 weeks ago, we had one of them, but Joe is gone, and that's fine.
Correct.
We need to finish off his paperwork. But I would like to take the second job, because we need it anyway, and that would perhaps, I'm sure it would relieve some of this this urgency. And then look at the temporary account. I noticed the money left this year, and we have some money in next year. I'm looking at Department 700 in the engineering department. I've heard figures about if we go outside, it's gonna cost us hundreds of thousands or I mean, I have no idea what it's gonna cost us, but if we have to go outside to catch up on some of this, we may have to go outside. It isn't like they haven't done it before. But I'd like to do the second job right away, based on the last couple of weeks, and I appreciate all this background. These are busy times. But I think the time to take care of it is within the budget. I said before, this budget is a draft. It's still around here a few more weeks. We could make some adjustments. We haven't got a lot of money. Oh, I mean, I don't know for Rob, for Peter to pay Paul, but you know, where the second job is funded, I would think we should go forward in trying to get the second man. And if the second man proves out to be Superman, man or woman, maybe we offer them the top job after we get them going and get them working and then fill the second job again. Is it my understanding that our three current employees don't have the credentials for either of these jobs?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct,
we're gonna go out, we're gonna end up going outside anyway. So,
correct.
Through you,
Unless-
Mr. Chair, just
yes,
to your point, that the only thing that concerns me is with some of these plans that will be heavily utilized by the county. I'm thinking surrounding the Aggie. A question I need the answer to, and when we're seeking the answer to, is if say an outside firm does the plans for the solar array, is the person who does that going to have to defend those? I would think throughout all the other meetings we're going to have with the town of Walpole. So that may end up being a long-term cost to the commissioners. I don't know if there may be no other choice given the immediacy of it, but it may be sort of a not so hidden cost that could go. I'm not sure, but I
I'm not sure either, but I think we gotta get going on the second position, which is funded, approved, and funded for fiscal 22. And that will relieve some of this burden.
Mr.
Yeah,
Chair-
Joe, can I jump in?
No. it's not-
Absolutely,
oh,
Commissioner.
just- All right, never
Okay,
mind.
I'll be quick, Dick. So,
Commissioner Collins.
and correct me if I'm wrong. So with Joe Nichols having retired, he's still in a line item, so we can't fill his slot anyway. Is that correct, Michelle?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Okay, so Joe McNichols having retired, his line item hasn't played out yet, right? So we can't fill his slot now anyway.
Right, well,
Is that correct?
that's correct. That's correct, but what we would do is
Okay.
we would
And
check
that's
a
why you're looking
3-day.
at filling. Right, so that's why you're looking at filling the assistant surveying position, because we can fill that right away, because it's in the budget.
That's correct.
Okay. And the idea is if the person that we put into that position pans out, as Joe said, maybe we could move them up to Joe McNichols' slot to lead the unit.
I think it's a great plan.
Okay, and if that works out, we may or may not need to fill the second position, because right now that second position isn't filled.
Correct.
Well,
Okay.
But through you,
Well-
Mr. Chair, it's in next year's budget. It's
Right, FY
not
22.
in- It's in FY22, not FY21.
Right. If I could, question, Commissioner Collins and Commissioner Stady. I mean, I think we have other issues in the engineering department. They're all personnel related, but I don't, I mean, there's 3 people sitting there today. Hopefully in a year, there'd be 5. I wouldn't think that we can operate with anything less than 5. I really don't. And I'm still holding out for a civil engineer at the top, but I mean, they're not banging down the door, et cetera, et cetera. And we can't fill it right now anyway. So that's why I want to fill a second job and go from there. And don't, you know, when you interview the person, you know, make no promises. I mean, this second job is $110,000 a year. I don't know what engineers, what surveyors make, but you know, I'm proud of the county. I think this is a good place to work. I think we could get resumes and get that going pretty well. In the meantime, if we have to go outside, we're gonna have to bite the bullet and bring some of this stuff up to speed. I am acutely aware of that our department had done a lot of the work at the school because we didn't want to send it out because of cost. And they're imminently involved, and I guess there's a plan or 2 laying around over there that needs to be signed. Now, whether, to Bill's point, the person you sent it to, I don't think you can just take it and take their word for it. I think he has to go back and
Yes.
make sure that, you know, he can stand behind it, and that's gonna take time and money, but I don't see any other way. We can't let them pile up anymore. But I do believe if we get the second person in there, it'll relieve some of it, particularly Cohasset's sidewalk demands, Bellingham's question, continuation in Brookline.
Right.
This is what I think is
Yeah.
our core mission.
So, Mr.
We
Chairman,
didn't know the a top person was gonna leave. I mean, it, you know, I don't want to be criticized for not planning because we didn't have any advance notice. And due to budget not problems, constraints, we couldn't fill that job anyway, the top one, but we can fill the second. I'd like to post it and see what it brings.
So as we sit here today, the land surveyor position is vacated. And once the payout is concluded, we can then bring someone in to continue that, with that money, continue in that line with land surveying work. So that's the plan right now. Is that everyone's understanding?
I understand it that way, but I've been talking to you aside, you and Bill. I mean, we
Right.
had a little meeting this morning.
are
which
we
is
able
fine.
to hire an interim person before, I fully support the second position, Joe, I'm with you. I totally
Right.
support that. And I understand the direction we're going, which is great, is to have 5 engineers. Perfect.
Absolutely.
I'm with you 100%. But in the meantime, as you noted, and Bill did, you got Bellingham waiting, Brookline waiting, Stoughton
Right.
waiting. So could we still put on someone interim, a person? I saw a letter in there from somebody in our packet. It looked pretty good. There was somebody that was interested already, and I don't know if that's the person or whatever, but is there some way we could hire someone who has a stamp as a part-time person to keep these projects moving while we're advertising for number 2? You follow what I'm saying? If
I believe there is,
Okay, then that's.
but I think we have to,
Okay.
you know, solicit it around a little
I
bit.
thought
and
there was a
then do
letter
it.
in there from somebody, but.
I think we can do it administratively if, and then make it clear that we're still looking for the
Right.
top guy. And we'll hire the second guy.
Yeah,
Jim and Shay, if
Yes.
I may through you.
Nancy,
Hi.
go ahead.
We could hire a temporary consultant
Mhm.
for engineering services while we're still looking for a permanent replacement.
Okay. There's 15,000 in this coming up until 22 budget. And between traffic and it says engineering consultant. I looked, it's 5,000 and 10,000.
Oh, is
We
it? Okay.
spent, and then this year's money is still there, and then there's some next year's if we should carry it over, but there is a fear that it's gonna be 30,000, just to pull a number. I heard the number 100. I got real nervous, but I
Wow.
don't believe that's the case, but I don't know. But
I would maybe suggest getting a couple prices from a couple different companies
sure,
for an hourly.
I mean, I on my way home every day, I go by a little engineer with his shingle hung out over by the Superior Court. Not that, you know, that's the person necessarily, but, you know, and I don't think they're all over the place. I'm quite, you know, we haven't been able to fill these positions in the past, so, but we have to, I'd really like to get the second one going tomorrow,
Yeah.
but today, and then try to solicit and get a individual in there with a stamp to look at all our other priorities while we're still trying to hire the first person. And
Mr.
if that
Chairman,
second
the
person involves,
number 2 person though is already funded in fiscal 21. Is that what I thought you said 22. Second person is already funded in this budget. Is that right? It's vacant. We never funded it.
It's not, it's zeroed
they're
out.
not funded
There's a
till
line item.
July, but
All right.
No.
So
we-
it's not funded.
No,
Correct.
Okay.
FY '22.
So this person wouldn't start until the next fiscal year. Right? Or am I missing something?
Through you, Mr. Chairman, one thing we could do is hire someone for that professional land surveyor position. And which, you know, Joe was that as well. And that's his, you know, that's where there's actual money in this budget after the payout. And we could hire them. And I'm spitballing here, but and Michelle is the expert on postings and the like. We could say hire someone as the number 2 contingent of that you're going into this job and you'll be the interim until we hire a number 1
and pay
Yes,
for
I
with the
mean-
number 1 salary, but we
and
can't
pay them
that
with a number 1 salary.
We can't pay that until we settle up with,
Yeah, so once the payout is is achieved, then we'll know when we can start someone if they have interest. So what you would really do is say you're posting for a number 2 and asking them to be interim for 2 months before we hire an engineer as well. And if I mean, the third step would be if it doesn't pass advisory board, they would probably be they'd be the director then. If you didn't have 2 positions, we'd have that. Then it would be the status quo of where we are. But we're looking to build that.
Well, I don't want to get too far afield here. There was some decisions here that probably are for a later discussion. I mean, hopefully we could do that, but we can't hire a guy, we can't hire a person and then assume they're gonna be the director. I mean, what if we hire someone that doesn't work out, et cetera, et cetera? But I think we definitely got to find a way to get the second person on board ASAP, even if we have to use some of the money from the first position, which we don't have as of today because we haven't got the payout figure. Is that correct, Michelle?
Yes, the payout went through today, so.
Oh, okay, so we're going in the right direction.
We are going in the right direction, yes,
Okay,
yes.
so we might have some money after you pay that. You'll be able to look at it more intelligently then.
Right, and that's why
Okay.
we're asking if we can post this position and start looking at people who have the qualifications we need in the immediate time. And what your decision is, what the commissioner's, decision is on this position.
So I would make the motion, Mr. Chairman, that we delegate or authorize our interim county director to prepare the posting and to post as soon as possible the position of Norfolk County Engineering Department Land Surveyor and Department Manager as presented to us in our packet, as outlined and as described herewith.
Is that the vote that you want, Michelle?
Yes.
Okay, second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Again, we'll handle some of this administratively too, but I wanted to lay it all out, and I'm not trying to lay all our laundry out, but we're very proud of that department. And let me tell you, the cities and towns, particularly the towns, some of the cities have their own engineer, but they rely on us, and
They do.
there's
They
no
do.
way we're gonna be able to cut it back.
It's important, very important.
And I don't want to make any promises based on the American Rescue Act either, or whatever we're calling it this week.
Mr.
Can we get
Chairman,
money for? is
The
there-
rescue, the American Rescue Plan. The other one was,
As long as I'm charged with the big
Yes,
checks, we're fine.
okay,
Mr.
there
Chairman,
anything-
Mr. Chairman, I have another update, please.
Oh.
go ahead,
Well,
Michelle. Mike never kept us here that long. Go ahead.
Oh, that hurt.
I'm only kidding.
In your package, you'll see a proclamation from the RSVP department.
Huh.
And that is a proclamation that needs to be signed by all 3 of the commissioners, and it is dated for today, March 17th. Did you want me to
You
read
can-
this? Oh, there you go. Thank
You
you.
can sign my name.
I have your stamp. I just need to know that if all of you read this and you agree with it, if I have the permission to stamp this today and get it back to the RSVP Director, Robert Pearson.
Can you use green ink today? Is it possible?
Uh,
The green stamp?
We'll figure it out. Don't worry. Seth.
Thank you.
On the
You're my-
proclamation for the RSVP program, all in favor?
Aye.
Definitely all in favor. Right. Yes.
Thank you, Michelle. Anything else?
That's all I have for you today.
Commissioners, anything else? We have a full meeting next week. Again, we're working on the budget.
Budget.
Yes.
It's budget, engineers,
nights.
engineers, and American Rescue Plan in that order. Last call.
One
Okay,
last
thank you
thing.
very much.
But
I'm
one
gonna wish
last-
everyone,
Wait, Peter has something. Joe.
One last thing,
Peter.
Joe. Robert said that green ink is fine. I think that was the shortest statement I've ever had from RSVP, so I wanted to congratulate him.
There you go. He caught it. I
good
saw
work,
it.
Robert. Robert won't
No,
let us-
Robert, don't
No-
say anything.
no-
Don't
no
wreck it.
comment.
Don't wreck it.
No
Don't say
comment,
anything.
Peter. No comment.
I said.
Good work,
green-
Robert.
green ink, okay, I said it. There you go. Congratulations,
Okay.
Robert.
I want to wish everyone a happy St. Patrick's Day. And if there's no further business, this meeting is adjourned at 2:44.
Okay.
All in
Happy
favor,
St.
say
Patrick's
aye.
Day.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Tell the law.
Thank you.